Welcome to MoGuard TV. I'm Sergeant Brittany Crocker with the 70th Mobile Public Affairs Detachment. First up in this episode, we'll be covering our preparatory course for the Expert Field Medical Badge, a ribbon-cutting ceremony for the Missouri Regional Training Institute, and a community event at an aerial and gunnery range. Next, we'll hear about the Missouri Guards hosting of a team-building program for Mizzou basketball, and then we'll head to a formal military dinner. The Expert Field Medical Badge course is one of the toughest that the Army has to offer. Our first story is about the preparatory course that the Missouri National Guard has developed to assist our medics in earning the coveted badge.
The Missouri National Guard is taking a proactive approach to assist their medics with earning the Army's coveted Expert Field Medical Badge, also known as the EFMB.
Today we are here conducting Expert Field Medical Badge Train-Up. This course is designed to prepare them for success at the actual Expert Field Medical Badge course. The Expert Field Medical Badge is the highest proficiency medical task training that the Army Medical Command has to offer, and it is one of the hardest skill badges to earn in the United States Army. The course itself has a very high failure rate. There's only a 17% pass rate.
This was the Missouri National Guard's first course of the pilot program to help establish a permanent EFMB preparatory course.
Soldiers are requesting the training, and so the leadership identified that and is responding to the request of the soldiers.
Sergeant First Class Floyd developed the training scenarios utilizing instruction materials from the EFMB course and believes that a medic's ultimate success is tied to training and having the right state of mind.
We'll start off the training with tactical movement, and we'll come upon some battlefield casualties in a simulated environment. We'll render treatment to those casualties. There'll be some things that happen along the way in the scenario as far as the soldiers reacting to contact. We'll have to do a tactical evacuation of the casualty, and we'll also do some medical evacuation training with a helicopter where we will employ a litter evacuation and also a hoist evacuation.
Once the chaos ensues, it gets a little bit more challenging. That's where that muscle memory comes into play. You're hit with different obstacles, you have to overcome them and still be proficient at your medical skill set.
1 minute, ETA.
It's about taking it and applying your knowledge in almost real-world scenarios and seeing how well you can integrate those different tasks.
The Army's EFMB course includes a comprehensive written test, day and night land navigation, tactical combat casualty care and evacuation, chemical environment operations, and a 12-mile road march. The training was also an opportunity for the medics to call in a 9 line.
Line 3, 1, Alpha.
The 9 standardized lines of information that the medic needs to quickly and accurately communicate to the incoming medevac helicopter.
Getting to actually do the 9 line, call it in, have that answered by an actual medevac asset, that's always the icing on the cake. Line 5, 1, Alpha.
The biggest challenge, probably barbed wire. I'd never moved a litter under barbed wire before.
The medics that earn the coveted EFMB become training multipliers for their units.
Not only will they have success at the course and bring back a medical skill badge that they can wear on their uniform and be proud of, but the expectation is that they come back and be what we call a training multiplier, that they bring that skill back and they bring that pride back to their unit and train other soldiers to prepare the next generation for the same success that they had.
The highlight of the training was the extraction of the medics using the Black Hawk helicopter's hoist. The medics were instructed to extend opposite limbs to reduce spinning on the hoist.
It was awesome. Your adrenaline gets going, wind's moving around you, you've got all this noise, and the entire time you're just being raised higher and higher. It's definitely a pretty cool experience to get to go through.
And you know what? I can never get tired of that view either. So it was an amazing experience.
The course was also an opportunity for joint training among several Missouri National Guard units and the active duty Army, which provided a field ambulance and other training aids.
Before showing up to the course, people that I've been working with, the other soldiers, I wasn't familiar with them. We're all new, but we're able to bring it together to one culminating event.
With the wars in the Middle East, we have shared that battle space with the active component. When you land on the ground over there in the battle space, you're all the same. It doesn't matter whether you come from the National Guard, the Army Reserve, or the active component. You're all there fighting the same fight.
The more training we can do across components like that, the better off we are, because we will serve together and work as one Army.
Doc, it hurts.
I want the National Guard to have a course like this, and I also would like the active duty component to feel free to utilize a course like this.
All right, let's move out, let's go.
Whether or not they ultimately get to go to the actual course, by virtue of going through the prep course, they're better qualified to perform their duties, whichever role of a medic they may be in.
When we return, we'll attend the ribbon cutting ceremony for the Missouri National Guard's new state-of-the-art training facility.
The Missouri National Guard held a ribbon-cutting ceremony for the Regional Training Institute's new building located at Fort Leonard Wood near St. Robert, Missouri. The 50,000 square foot building was designed to be as flexible as the guardsmen that it serves. The new RTI was designed with state-of-the-art features and can teach soldiers anything from turning a wrench on an MRAP to tracking threats on the increasingly important cyber front. Because of its location, the RTI has access to the finest training facilities and ranges in the United States Army.
It's been a number of years of planning, resourcing, congressional support of the Fort Leonard Wood and Army community, and the National Guard Bureau.
Well, this has been a long time coming, but it's been worth the wait and the energy. Through it all, I was always bothered that we lacked a facility worthy of our mission. In the summer of 2002, then Adjutant General Dennis Shull agreed to let me pursue the project.
General Danner was a former commander of the Regional Training Institute and shared a story about the valuable leadership lesson learned from one of his cadre.
The particular night I'm thinking of was one that our officer candidates dread, but of course the cadre lived for. It was freezing cold, pouring rain, and so dark you couldn't see 5 inches in front of your face. In other words, it was a perfect night for a 12-mile ruck march. I went to move into head of the formation, and this has stuck with me ever since. He grabbed my arm and he just said very politely, "Sir, with all due respect, you can't come with us. You'll be just a training distractor." You know, it took gumption for him to tell me that, speaking to his commander. But I immediately realized he was right. My job as the commander was to command the unit and run the schoolhouse. Their job as instructors was to mold young men and young women into better soldiers and officers. For them to do their job effectively, I had to empower them, not distract or micromanage. That was a lesson I've lived by as Adjutant General. The RTI's true mission is simply to empower our soldiers.
The RTI is a schoolhouse that provides broad spectrum training to each of the 3 components, the active component, the National Guard, and the reserves. And we have students populate our classes from each of the 3, primarily engineer, military police, officer candidate school, warrant officer candidate school, and some ordnance type courses. What it does is creates additional classroom facilities so that we can actually get more trainees in at any given time and provide the training that they need to accomplish their mission and move forward.
The new state-of-the-art facility will house 11 classrooms, a 400-person multi-purpose room, an auditorium, along with the offices for the administrative staff and instructors of the Regional Training Institute.
It gives us a lot of the resources and preparation areas that we didn't have before. We train with the reserves, with the National Guard, and we do have the potential to even take on active duty. It's a great training integration where soldiers are combined in one unified environment. It really helps us be efficient in our productivity and how we do what we do.
The ceremony marked an end of an era for the schoolhouse as it transitioned from World War II barracks to a brand new, impressive structure conducive to training today's soldiers.
Before we were working at a World War II barracks that were state-of-the-art in 1941, but now have kind of reached their limit in their capacity.
That actually were some that my grandfather were in at one time. I've got a picture of him in billets down here of the same kind of building, and we kept putting more and more money into those buildings. We really needed to come out of the wooden structures.
Fortunately, the unofficial mascot of the RTI will not be able to move into the new facility.
Every year we have at least 1 or 2 families of groundhogs being born within the facilities over there in the 1200 area. Jokingly, we referred to the Bear Patch as the dancing groundhog as kind of our mascot, and they became part of our family there in the 1200 series, but it's kind of nice to be moving away from that family.
What I'm most excited about is the freshness that it brings to the training that we provide. The courses are taught at a very professional level. Now we have a very professional facility to work from.
The modern facility will also act as a marketing tool to assist in recruiting new students to the Institute.
The doors are wide open, and we encourage and welcome people from the other components and services to attend here.
In our next story, we'll go to Cannon Range for a community event with the Missouri National Guard's Bomb Wing.
Cannon Range, Missouri's only aerial bombing and gunnery range, recently held a public outreach event. Geared toward giving residents of the surrounding communities the opportunity to see the various aviation assets utilizing Cannon Range, the show drew a crowd of over 850 spectators.
You walk away with a real sense of pride, I mean, it's like, okay, there's something very, this makes it very real and brings it home. There's always a lot of fun involved with stuff, you got to have fun, but there's a serious side to it. It takes a lot of hours and a lot of commitment from a lot of different people. It's a whole team effort. It's nice to see my tax dollars at work.
Hosted by the Missouri Air National Guard's 131st Bomb Wing, the air show style event included weapons demonstrations by B-2 Spirit stealth bombers, A-10 Thunderbolt attack aircraft, and C-130 Hercules transports. The aircraft drop simulated munitions, perform low-level flybys, and showcase tactical maneuvers.
Business that we have here at Cannon Range, not only in aircraft but in bomb dropping, there is a safety side of it, there is an environmental side of it. You have the loud noises, you have the different hours, the early mornings, the late nights, and I think it's real important to have the people who live underneath our airspace to be able to come out and see what we do. If you keep them in the dark, you're doing yourself a disservice because you can't garner their support. I think the folks that did come out were very appreciative and seemed to learn a lot about what the Missouri Guard does here at Cannon Range.
When we return, we'll attend one of our team building programs with the Mizzou men's basketball team.
For over 375 years, our nation's citizen soldiers have sacrificed, struggled, and triumphed at home and abroad. Through resolve, resilience, and readiness, our Army National Guard continues its proud legacy.
As citizen soldiers,
we are your next-door neighbors.
We're your colleagues in schools, offices,
and factories.
In every corner of America, the Army National Guard is nearby.
The Army National Guard.
Less than 10 days before their official practices got underway, The Mizzou men's basketball team got some team building and leadership training from the Missouri National Guard at Camp Clark in Nevada, Missouri. The players and coaches were taking part in the Athletes of Character Teams of Significance Challenge, a 1.5-day program of hands-on events and exercises.
We basically teach them leadership, different theories, strategies. We also talk a lot about character and who those leaders are and what they're kind of made up of. That's the foundation that we start off of.
As citizen soldiers, Guardsmen live and work in local communities. They are eager to share with their fellow citizens the knowledge and skills that have been passed down over hundreds of years.
Yep, the hostage is going to be in a building. Hostage
I'm
will be in a building.
guys.
We don't know what. Oh, they're guys?
They could be
anywhere. Anywhere.
The National Guard's been doing leadership and team building since 1636. And we're also an organization that are actually in those communities. We call ourselves the Hometown Guard.
After a little physical training to start the morning, the Mizzou players took on some team building challenges that looked deceivingly simple.
We want to get into their head that there's not always a simple answer, that you always have to be thinking, what more can I do to accomplish our goal, our mission, and to come together as a group.
Everybody's communicating, sometimes nobody's listening, and sometimes you have to have that one person that just kind of grabs the bull by the horn, takes charge and says, okay, this is what I've heard, this is what we need to do in order to execute, and this is what we need to do.
Like every group that takes part in the challenge, the Mizzou players encountered problems and had to think outside the box to find a working method that played to their strengths.
With the ski event, we intentionally leave not a whole lot of room on the back of those boards for that last person, and they turned around backwards and were still moving in unison with their team in order to try and get it done.
The Mizzou team, which has a young presence with 11 freshmen and sophomores, showed some of their tenacity and energy by finishing the bridge obstacle in buzzer beater fashion.
We changed ideas 3-4 times throughout the whole thing. I think the reason why we were just so happy about the whole board bridge thing was the fact that we finished it. Just working together, I think that's what made it more exciting and more fun for that win.
Head coach Kim Anderson knew going into the weekend that communication and leadership were two of the key areas his players needed to work on.
Our team is a team that needs better chemistry, needs better communication, needs to work together better, needs to figure out how to get things done.
Some of the challenges and tasks that the Guard put in front of the players helped develop that chemistry and communication.
I've seen some young guys step up. I've seen some old guys lead that maybe I didn't think would or had ever been asked to. It makes them work together. It makes them communicate. And it kind of teaches them that if they don't rely on each other, they're not going to be successful. For me, it's kind of a learning experience too. It kind of gives me an idea about my own players. I can kind of watch them and see who steps up, who shies back. It gives you a little bit about their personality.
I think when we get back to basketball court, I feel like we're going to talk a lot more just because of this experience here. It's going to make us a lot closer and just communicate with each other better and really to work as a team a lot better.
As the only senior on the squad, forward Ryan Rosberg was not only participating in the events, but he also observed how his teammates acted and reacted to the challenges that were thrown their way.
I was really proud of how everyone really handled their roles and spoke up when they needed to and took directions also. Here, you're put in so many different adverse situations and you really see other sides of people that you didn't really know existed.
When they leave here, they're definitely going to have a better idea on how to work well with others, how to communicate, and how to problem solve. We force them to do that while they're here. You can learn more from failures if you approach it properly than you can from any success you have in life. You look at it as, okay, here's where I went wrong, here's what I need to do to make it right.
True to form, Captain Miller wasn't afraid to throw in some lighthearted jokes to get inside the heads of the Tigers. One just happened to be at the expense of freshman guard Terrence Phillips.
Don't fall, polka dot.
It took all 30 minutes of being here getting a nickname just because of these polka dot socks.
The program is something that the Mizzou players and coaches can wholeheartedly recommend to other teams and organizations that are looking for team building and leadership training.
I think you really build your teamwork skills out here, so I would definitely recommend it.
I think they've done a great job. It's been a great experience for our team. We're looking forward to hopefully doing it again in the future.
In our final story, we'll attend a formal military dinner with the 110th Maneuver Enhancement Brigade.
The 110th Maneuver Enhancement Brigade of the Missouri National Guard recently held a dining out at the Kansas City Armory. A dining out is a formal celebration dinner where soldiers can bring their family and friends for an evening that celebrates the unit and their accomplishments.
I think dining outs are fun because it's a chance for us to take our spouses out and go to a formal event and get dressed up and just have a fun night and spend some time together.
I think it's just kind of a nice break away from the seriousness of what our job is. With everything that is possibly going bad in the world, there's still a good group of people here at the 110th that always have your back and are ready for anything.
The camaraderie is really important for events like these to break down the barriers between higher command and the lower enlisted so that we can have that social engagement that is important and necessary for morale in the unit.
A dining out has a good mix of formal ceremonial elements as well as humor that is based on tradition.
We have one more violator. Beth, would you like to be entertained?
There's a certain script that you have to kind of go by for dining outs. There's certain rules of the mess, but those types of things are fun to carry on tradition.
Lieutenant Jeremy Eidelman, the strength manager for the 110th MEB, was tasked with putting the event together.
I was responsible for all the initial planning, the budgeting, the actual flow of the entire night. So there's a lot to consider when building a dining out from scratch.
The efforts of Lieutenant Eidelman and the staff that helped him were appreciated by Colonel John Oberkirsch. The dining out was one of the last official events for him as commander of the 110th MEB.
I told the staff we're going to have a dining out. We decided what month it was going to be, and that's about all the guidance that they had. Everything came together, and all I did was say, let's do it. And the staff interpreted that and knocked it out. I couldn't finish command without this. This is like my way of telling you all thanks in one forum. If I couldn't have done it this way, I would have felt empty leaving command.
Retired Colonel Donald Ballard, a Vietnam veteran and Medal of Honor recipient, was the keynote speaker. He applauded the efforts of today's Guardsmen.
And for you people to have to go back 3 and 4 times, I'm just amazed. And you're doing it voluntarily, so I want to salute you.
Brigadier General William Ward shared that less than 1% of Americans serve in the military, and he thanked the brigade for its service.
Soldiers of the 110th, thank you for your service and sacrifice. You are the sheepdogs, the 1% that keeps the flock safe and that helps make this the land of the free and the home of the brave. Phoenix Warriors, let's get it done.
It is now my honor to introduce the commander of the Missouri National Guard, the Adjutant General, Major General Steve Danner.
Thank you, Sergeant Crocker, and thank you viewers for watching this episode of MoGuard TV. The Missouri National Guard's strategic goals are to achieve a culture of readiness, to empower the organization, and to optimize responsible resource management. In this episode, we've seen an example of how we achieve a culture of readiness by preparing our medics for the Expert Field Medical Badge course. We've also seen an example of responsible resource management through the opening of the Regional Training Institute's new state-of-the-art facility. As its former commander, I'm extremely proud of having a schoolhouse worthy of our students and mission. As a community-based organization, it is important for us to open our doors to the public. Opportunities like the Cannon Range event allow Missouri citizens to experience the multiple air assets of the Missouri National Guard. Through our team building programs, we share our leadership and communication skills to empower high school and college teams. And finally, we highlighted a dining out ceremony, a military tradition that celebrates the service and sacrifice of our Guardsmen and their families. The Missouri National Guard is always ready, always there to be the best value to defend our state and nation. On behalf of Governor Jay Nixon and our nearly 12,000 soldiers and airmen, thank you for your support.